I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to say a few words. I'm gonna ditch the stand. So, I've been doing Rad Racing. This is starting my 17th year right now. The team was founded in 1998, and the idea behind it was to build a community of like-minded folks. As you guys probably found out, if you go to grade school or middle school, you might be the only person in your school that races bikes, and that can make you feel pretty lonely. So part of the idea behind getting Rad Racing together was to build a community, like-minded folks. So you had folks that you could ride with, you could connect at the races, and so that was part of what it was. And then part of it was just creating a support system. So the original version of Rad Racing was Randy Iddings bought a trailer and lettered it up, and we tow it out to the races and set up shop for the kids and give them some support. And that was the very grassroots origins of it. And it has evolved over the years into something pretty amazing. I look in the room tonight, we've got 80 or 90 people here, and it makes me very proud. I wouldn't say you could say it's been my life's work, but it's been almost half my life's work. I have a goal of doing this for 20 years, so I got 2 or 3 more years to bang out here, but 20 years would be pretty good. So we talked about the support in the community, but what Rad Racing is really about is not to create professional bike racers, but it's to build successful young people. And it's to teach you life lessons that you can move forward in life and apply to whatever comes along. So I had a few life lessons that I wanted to highlight that are important to us. And then I have made a connection to them, to some of the stuff I've got going on right now. And so we'll talk about it. One of the first life skills that we like to teach in Rad Racing is how to face adversity. And adversity comes in many forms. And I think it was a great example. Tonight we heard about Calder's race at the World Championships. He went over with great hopes and ends up getting hung up in a crash. Ends up crashing again, but kept his chin up, kept his head cool, and took on the adversity. And that's persevering through a tough time. So really in life, you have no control over what's gonna get thrown at you. And what you really helps to define you as a person is how you deal with what gets thrown at you. So if you're in a bike race and you get a flat, you keep your head cool, you get to the pit, you get changed out, you crash, you get sick. I mean, all of these things, you can't have any control over them, but you can control how you respond to them. So, example in bike racing is Calder yesterday. My own personal example that I've applied this to was that you're cruising along in life, awesome, and then you get cancer. And it is lessons through sport, I believe, that taught me the skills that I needed to face and take on what I needed to take on. Another life lesson that we talk about with Rad Racing is goal setting, and coming up with a goal and realizing that there are smaller goals that you build on to achieve a larger goal. So in bike racing, you don't start out your first year and decide you're going to be the world champion. You come up with steps and you win some local races and you build yourself up. For me, in my personal battle, it was making it to the next CT scan, which was 6 weeks down the road. And then after confidence was built and we had progress, that turned into every 9 weeks. And then as confidence built, it turned into making plans 2 or 3 or 4 months down the road, to a point now where I'm making plans for next year and for being around here for a long time. Yay. But it was the skills that I learned in sports that taught me how to set goals and how to work towards them. Another important life lesson that we can teach this sport is to don't quit. And many times you get out on the race course and things are going sideways for you, and it's a little bit of that adversity and perseverance. But not quitting is a really important life skill. When you start something, you finish it, you finish it to completion, and unless you're crashed out or you're sick or whatever, you just finish what you started. And that's a character trait that in life you want to be known for. When you think of somebody, you want to know that they're somebody that doesn't quit and they pushes through. Another really important thing that we can learn through sport is humility. And you can use humility in victory, and when you do win, being humble, being approachable, giving credit to those who got you there is really important. In adversity, humility is being able to accept help and bringing yourself, dropping your pride and bringing yourself to a point where not only can you accept help, but you can ask for it when you need it. So another thing that I've learned a lot through this process. Kind of the final life skill that I'll talk about tonight is discipline. And discipline is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you like doing it or not. So when you take on being a bike racer and you set goals and you establish a training plan, sometimes you got to go out and train and it's crummy outside. You don't want to go do it. But discipline is going out and doing it when it doesn't feel good, doesn't seem like the thing you want to do. But discipline also comes down to sportsmanship, being disciplined in your sportsmanship. Maybe something happened in a race and you want to say something to somebody, but keeping your chin up and being an integrous person and having the discipline to not lower yourself to that level. Training we talked a little bit about, and sometimes discipline is in making hard decisions. There may be something that has come across your way. I'll use the example of Scott and Calder. They got invited this fall to go to the first block with USA Cycling. It didn't fit very well with their training plan, with their racing schedule, with their school. It was a super duper exciting and appealing thing, but they had the discipline to say, it's not a good fit for me right now. And I was super impressed with those guys and proud of them for making that choice. So discipline takes on a lot of forms, but it really comes down to doing what needs to be done and doing it whether or not you really want to do it, but just doing it because it needs to be done. So I'll close it out. My dad taught me something that I've applied in my life and I've applied in my battle, and I think if you keep it in mind, it'll take you a long ways, and that is attitude is everything. How you go about approaching adversities in life and approaching life, it's dictated by what's going on right here. And I'm 100% confident that the success that I've had in my current battle has a lot to do with the fact that I wrapped my head around what I had to do early on. I took the lessons that I've learned in life, and I decided right here that this was going to dictate what was going to happen with my body. So got it tattooed on my arm week before my first chemo, and it's there to remind me all the time. But attitude is everything. So I just wanted to say a few things to you guys tonight and really emphasize what it is, why we're doing what we do. And we've got a few pro bike racers out there, and that's super awesome. But we got a lot of amazing young people out there. I just ran into Tucker Thomas last night in a bar.
Amazing.
But he's 30, and Tucker was with the program back in the day, went to the World Championships in France, learned a lot of lessons through the team, and every once in a while I'll just run into an ex-Rad Racing kid somewhere that communicates to me that they learned a lot in the program and that they were able to apply it in life.